I'm so excited to bring you this interview today with Josie Wozniak. She's a sixth grade teacher in California. She teaches ELA and history. And there are a few things in here that I want you to listen for. One is she said this quote from Kelly Gallagher that gave me goosebumps. And then we get into this really cool conversation in there about diamonds and the diamond mining process. And there are several times in here where you'll see the wheels turning, and she is thinking of new ways to change it and do this next year and that next. And it's just so awesome to see the way that she thinks about the writing and just her philosophy on the workshop, and then how she combines it. I kind of told her that it's like she does program smashing, like there's app smashing, but she does program smashing where she uses the workshop as well as Eduprotocols, and there's a philosophy to the two programs that really kind of gelled together, and everything clicked for her, and it made the biggest difference. So I'm super excited for you to hear this interview with Josie. Exactly what you've been doing, because you're on TikTok and amazing, and I found you there, and you're blogging, and now you're speaking at ISTE and speaking at the Eduprotocols big conference,
Yeah,
right?
I've been doing that this will be my fourth summer. So the first summer they asked me to do it, and I was like, "Oh, okay, and then they asked me again the next year, and then the next year, and now I'm just kind of like on their staff. I mean, like not really on their staff, but I'm
Great.
kind of
You're on the
well, we'll
list.
do it. Yeah, so that's really nice. Um,
Hmm.
that's really nice. And I found you through your blog.
It
I
was the
don't know what
blog?
I was looking up. Yeah, from your website.
Yeah.
I was looking up something because I'm always trying to figure out ways to teach writing because uh, our boxed curriculums or our adopted curriculums, they have writing assignments, but no writing instruction,
Right.
which is a huge issue in um, like the big box curriculum. Or and if you have a writing curriculum, it's like separate from that. There's never,
Mhm.
I don't know, I've never had a curriculum where I've, been required to use it or at least use it part of the time or whatever, that does all of it.
Right. I
So
You
when I
totally hit the
found,
nail on the head with that. With they have
right?
assignments, and it's not how to teach it. Wow.
Yeah, it's like in the first unit, for example, of the one I currently use, which I won't name, but like in the first unit, like the assessment at the end is write a narrative or whatever. And it's like, okay, but where's the instruction on how to get them to do that, right? It's
Right.
just an assignment, which is fine, but you have to weave in the instruction on how to do that. That's like a
Right.
whole separate unit.
Right.
So when I found your website, where I wish I knew exactly how I found you, but I'm pretty sure it was your website. I was doing a Google search for something about writing,
Hmm.
um, and then I found your website, and then I watched some of your videos, and I was like, oh my God, this makes so much. Oh, and I read your like free ebook or whatever it was.
Right. Right. Right.
And I was like, this makes so much sense.
Mm.
Same skills in repetition, which is very like Edge Protocol like.
Right.
So
Right.
the constant repetition, which is huge, you can weave that into any other subject. So I have to teach history,
Yeah.
and I'm fortunate where I teach the same kids I have for ELA, I also have in history. So I could weave those same skills into anything we were writing there. Like today, we're going to focus on your hook. And so it was like constant, just those, I didn't worry about all the other things because that's what's so overwhelming about teaching writing
Mhm.
is that there are so many skills. There's grammar, there's this, there's that, there's that. It's like, how do you focus?
Mhm.
What do you focus on, right? So
Mhm.
when I read first of all, I was thoroughly impressed that you were a published author. I'm like, okay, well, she knows what she's talking about. She's not, she's a published author. And when you said this is what editors look for in the real world and
Yeah.
publishers look for in the real world, it was like, oh my God, because I like to read. I'm like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
Right.
Makes so much sense. So it was like a huge light bulb for me.
Mm.
And then the structure of the workshop. like the idea that it's a routine and kids lead it. However you do that, and I've used your version, I've used iterations where I've made my own scripts based on what I want to focus on that day. But just that whole process where, it's not like, readers and writers workshop, or you give them free time to, choice time and all that. I felt like I need something very structured.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'm not going to do well.
Mm-hmm.
And they just started they looked forward to it. Every Friday we did it. And if we couldn't do it for whatever reason, it was like,
You were
are we
going to
going to do
pay for
it?
it.
They loved the jobs. They liked, they knew and it's so funny. I've always had twinkle lights in my classroom,
Mm-hmm.
always. And sometimes I'd put them on and sometimes I wouldn't. And because that's just my brain, like I'm not super organized, you know what I mean? And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to use them intentionally. So on Friday, they went on. And so the kids knew that's when we're writing.
Wow.
So it just kind of helped me structure my week.
I love
And
that.
then the 6 skills I could use in anything we were doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we had something to focus on. So
Mhm.
I would make it a focus of like whatever we were reading. We'd say, oh my gosh, look at the voice here, or look at the sentence variety. So you could, use whatever reading you were using or novel and pull apart those skills. And what I was finding was that when we were reading like our class novel or like our short story or whatever, the kids would say, "Oh, this is good sentence variety," or "This is really good hook," So they were starting to see that in the mentor text, you know what I mean? And so that helped. It just really made me feel better about teaching writing. I felt like okay, now I have a goal, like I know what I want to focus on. I know what I need to get them to focus on. And I don't know, it just kind of changed my classroom
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
So
That's
then I
amazing.
had to start talking about it.
Thank
Like I had
goodness.
to start putting it, I made some TikTok videos. I'm like, you need to follow this woman. She's like gonna change your life. So I hope it's brought you a lot of
It
people.
has. It totally has.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm glad. So, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe I could work for her.
Totally. You're not that far
Right.
away. And
So, anyways, you're so smart. You're just so smart.
well, I think like it's sort of like what you were saying about how you had a little light bulb moment of like you love to read, and then doesn't it make sense for us to do what editors are asking for? And I think like demystifying the whole what makes a story a good story and how do you create a story? Like, because for so long for me, when I was writing, I would read books that I love, but I couldn't in my mind like tell you why they were good, you know?
Right.
It was like, well, they're
Right.
just good. I don't know why.
Right. But yeah, so that's what I was finding with some of the kids when they would point out the use of the skills or whatever. It was
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, this is such a great discovery on my half, my part. And then I got another teacher on my team to start looking at your stuff. And then she bought your warm-ups and like, that kind of thing. So
Right.
yeah,
Good.
and then we got another teacher to look at it, so
Oh,
she went through the modules too, I believe. I don't know. And
that's
the trainings were very good.
oh,
So,
thank you.
um, I think I binged those in a weekend.
Hmm.
We were actually
Hmm.
on vacation when I watched them. We were up in the mountains. We went to Big Bear, and I brought my laptop.
Your husband hates me.
Um, I just
That's
got to
funny.
watch these trainings and then I'm just going to watch one or two. Don't worry about it. I end up just sitting through all of them. They were just inspiring. I feel like I'm the kind of teacher who I don't feel like I've taught. I heard Kelly Gallagher say this one time. And so I say it all the time too. Um, I've been teaching 28 years, but I don't feel like I've been teaching 28 years. I feel like I've been teaching one year 28 times. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because
Yeah.
every year is new, or that's the one thing that I love about our profession is that every year you kind of like reinvent yourself. And pull in new things. And it's the one job where like you just don't, you can just do something
I
different
never.
the next
Right.
year and just try it out,
Right.
And so I'm
Yeah.
a big believer in trying new things, so you don't get stale.
Right.
Uh, so that was the one thing I added in that one year. It was like, and then I've kept it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Mm-hmm.
kids love it. They love the choice. They love, the past. They love the fact that they can rant. That's very popular.
The rants are great.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was good. They enjoy it.
Did you notice, like, when you think about their writing samples that they gave you at the beginning of the year, and sometimes you'll send me some now and again, and I love it. Please keep doing that. Like, what difference are you seeing from their before and after?
I wouldn't say everybody's a better writer
Hmm.
afterwards, because that's just how kids are. But what I did notice is that they were able to pick out skills they were using. So sometimes I would have them write and I would have them, highlight where they think they used a skill and identify it and explain, what it was they were, because I wanted them to recognize it in their own writing because they'll
Yeah.
write. Some of them are profound writers. They're really
Hmm.
good writers, some of
Hmm.
them. Um, but I didn't know if they knew why.
Right.
So I felt like having that list of like 6 skills, which one are you going to work on today or whatever? And that's what you model in the workshop, right? Um, that was the eye-opening like kind of thing for me, was that if they can see it in their own writing, then they've
Mhm.
improved, regardless of what the writing really looks like. If they
Exactly.
can at least identify it, like, oh, here I used this kind of hook, I used a strong statement, I used this, surprising fact, or I used, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I thought that's where I saw the most improvement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And could you imagine those? It would be super cool if those kids who did, you saw some improvement, if they started that in fourth grade and
Yeah.
and then fifth grade, and then they get to you, and it's like, boom, they would just start taking off. Like,
Yes, they would. And, then you
wow.
could, if everyone did it, if it was like part of your, you know, school curriculum or whatever, and they're starting it, then by the time they get to you, you can focus on those other things that kind of
Mhm.
get ignored, like the spelling and the grammar and the
Right.
punctuation, and that, right?
Right.
Um, so
Let's make
yeah,
a
it's just
plan,
been a great.
Josie.
What?
Let's make a plan. How are we going to take over the state of California?
I know. Well, it's just, I don't know, keep doing what you're doing. It's
Yeah.
very effective. I thought it was effective.
That's awesome. And you just jumped in with so much, like, you're like, I'm doing this. And I just loved it. You were had so much like
Well,
joy
I
and
kind of
passion. It just comes through.
I kind of feel like if you're gonna do it, like just do it. And if
Mhm.
it doesn't work, stop doing it.
Mhm.
Like kids
Mhm.
are pretty flexible.
Mhm.
And I feel like in our profession, you have to just be able to you have to be flexible.
Mhm.
If it
Yeah.
doesn't work, stop doing it. If it is working, keep doing it or modify it or use it
Yeah.
in a way that's going to work for you. There's
Right.
so many tools that you can use, um, especially when it comes to writing nowadays, like a lot of those like platforms and all that. And I've talked about those as well. But I feel like your 6 skills can
Mhm.
be used in any of those.
Mhm.
So, um, I don't know. That just is my
Yeah.
favorite thing.
Yeah. Awesome. Can I ask you
And
some?
also,
Oh,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry.
No, go
And also, like the don't talk too long. You have 7 minutes because
ahead.
I'll talk all period, as you can
Right?
see. Kind of
I know.
thing.
And then they're kind of excited because they're like, ooh, it's going to end in 7 minutes.
Oh yeah, they love to be the timekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
time's up.
Got 30 seconds. Right.
Yeah.
Can I ask you like some specific questions about how you implement? Because I know other teachers are dying to know like how you do certain things. Like,
Okay.
um, what do you do for warm-ups? Do you do everything digitally? What is your system?
I would like to know that as well. So last year I used your warm-ups
Hmm.
all year,
Hmm.
and I did them in class kick.
Mhm.
and just the free version of it. And that was pretty good. And then last year I said, let me try something else because, I get bored. Not that it was boring, but it was like
Right.
maybe I'm always looking for like what's the best thing, right?
Mm.
So this year, I wasn't as structured and I did like what I do. Sometimes I did a writing prompt and some days I did this. And I'm like, no, I need to go back to quick and simple. So I will probably go back to yours. I did those digitally. Yes, just because
Yeah, awesome.
the ability to be able to see
Right.
everybody's work at one time and they would love it when you give them like the little sticker,
Yep.
the digital sticker. They would love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
find that, yeah, for me, that's easiest just because I can boop, boop, boop. And then at the end of the week, I just counted up like the number of stickers or whatever. Did you give them points or anything for their warm-ups?
No, I just
Okay.
looked to see like, did you do it? Yes or no? Like, because it's
Mm.
practice.
Right.
And then at one point I started them on paper
Hmm.
and I would collect them on Fridays. But then I saw, oh God, they're making the same mistake all week long and they're not fixing it when we go over.
Hmm.
So that's when so I'm like, okay, they've been practicing this wrong all week long, right?
Ah,
So
yeah.
when you're walking around, you can only get to so many people.
Right.
So that's when I switched over to the class kit because you had recommended that. And it was so easy just to make sure I hit everyone
Right.
and told them to fix it immediately, like give them that feedback right away, like, oh, you forgot something, or oh,
Hmm.
capitalize this, or and when they got a sticker immediately, it was like, yes, they got
Yes.
so excited.
Yeah.
So I did like that. And then other years I've done 10 minutes of independent reading, which I love the most.
Hmm.
Um, it's so hard to fit it all in.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
So for next year, I'm still deciding like I'm gonna try to do both or what.
Right.
But
Right.
I do like the digital warm up just because
Yeah.
it's instant feedback for them, which is what they need because they have to apply it to the next one.
Right, right. Love that. What about when you do the workshop? There's always the question of, do you have them do that digitally? Do you have them take notes in a notebook? Or is everything digital?
No, so I started having them do like the what is it? Like the warm up, like 10, three states
Right,
that start with letter M. I started
right.
having them do that in a notebook.
Mm, mm-hmm,
And if there was any notes I wanted them to take or anything to write down, I would have them do it in a notebook. But then I started having them do the workshop in the class kick,
mm-hmm.
um, just because, again, I'm able to see everybody's work and award the diamond sentence much
Yeah.
quicker. They loved that
What did you
for
do
sure.
when you found it? Because people have questions about that too. Do you write it on the board? Did you read it out loud or share your screen or?
So I did the writing trios or whatever. I didn't really do trios. Whatever table group they were in, they were
Mhm.
like groups of four or two sometimes or whatever.
Right.
And I would have them switch computers. And if a kid didn't have a computer that day, they would have a notebook because they would do it in their notebook because they brought their devices home last year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would have them identify one diamond sentence in each other's writing
Mm-hmm.
and highlight it. So they
Yeah.
had to find what they thought was a diamond sentence in somebody else's writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever that was, just one good sentence. And then
Yeah.
I'd have some of them share out, like, does anybody have, um, who would like to share somebody's diamond sentence? You can't share your own because that's what they
Oh,
want to do.
you
And
can't. Oh, so you only have them share somebody else's sentence. Oh, I love that.
because they want to they get so excited about their own writing, they want to read their own writing.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, you have to celebrate somebody else.
Mm.
So that's what we did. And then usually I'd have one in mind
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I would just pick one of the ones they chose because I felt like that would make them feel like, oh, they were identified it.
Helped
You know
to
what I
get
mean?
that way, right?
Yeah, like they were so smart. They identified the best sentence or whatever.
That's so
And then I
true.
would have them, I had like black butcher paper or whatever you call it, or craft paper
Mhm.
on one of my doors. And I had like metallic Sharpies. And so they would write their sentence on the diamond sentence board.
Oh,
And
so
then
then the
I did
person who did it, who won the diamond, did the actual writing on that's
they
cool.
would
So
you give
they
them a
did.
pen, they got to pick the color. I
Mm,
had like silver, I had gold, I had like I just bought like a pack of metallic markers or whatever.
mhm.
And they got to pick their color and write it on the wall, on the board, and then they signed it.
Oh,
And I would say, write it exactly the way you wrote it. And if it was like something was misspelled or whatever, I would say, here, write it like this is correct. So write it like this. Because I wanted, well-written
look
sense on
at
the
so
board.
it's on the board, right?
Um, uh, and they got to do that. And then they got, the diamond on their desk.
Mm,
And because I bought one of those diamonds, like you said, and then I had, those vinyl stickers you can get for super cheap
yeah,
on Amazon, whatever. And they would get a sticker for their notebook. So
nice.
I tried to celebrate it, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah. But I also think it would be a good idea for the kids to decide, like if you had enough time in a class period, you could put up like the top three or
Mhm.
whatever and to vote or, you know,
Mhm.
and you could do that through, oh, now my wheels are spinning.
Right,
Like
right.
you use that with shortanswer.com is a really quick way to like see everyone's writing. Like, have you ever used that? Oh,
I have
check it out.
not. I watched a video, that looks
You could
cool.
have everybody put their best sentence in short answer, and then like they have like a game battle royale style where like
Yeah.
sentences compete against each other anonymously, and then the whole class can decide, oh my gosh, look, I'm a genius.
Oh my gosh, I love that
Anything
idea.
else
Else
with
with diamonds you could think of that they get the
um
diamonds in their desks and stickers.
I mean, that's what I would do. I would write their name on the board. They get to hold the diamond on their desk. And sometimes we'd run out of time.
Yeah.
So the next week they would have the diamond on their desk and then they would give it to the next person.
Oh,
So like
cool.
hand over the crown, like Miss America crown, like they would recrown the new winner. And they just enjoyed that whole process.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge.
And they didn't feel like they would say sometimes they would be like, they didn't know, they didn't consider it work, they considered it play.
Mm.
And sometimes they'd be like, "Oh, I love Fridays because I always did on Friday. I love Fridays because we don't learn anything new. Like we're not doing like
Right.
structured teacher stuff,
Content.
right?" So
Right,
they
right.
looked at it as play, which I thought was really key. And then
Mhm.
at one point, I wanted to move it to Mondays because I thought, well, if I do it on Mondays, and I don't have to think about what to plan for on the weekend, you know? And at one point, they said, no, if we do it on Mondays, we don't have anything to look forward to.
Oh, I love that. Oh my
So,
gosh. That's fantastic.
yeah.
No, the other thing I was thinking on the teacher side of it with the diamonds and you doing it on the wall like that, because one of the things I could never figure out, because I'm not like crazy organized, was like keeping track of which students I had given a diamond to, because but you'd kind of be able to just look at your wall every day and be like,
Just try to
oh,
remember
okay.
to like highlight their name on a roster. But at the
Hmm.
same time, if somebody got it twice because they just deserved it
I
twice,
deserved
I
it.
was I was okay with that, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes they would tell on themselves, like, "Oh, I already got it." And I'm like, "That's okay. You
Yeah.
can have it twice. It's all right."
Right.
Um, but then I would try sometimes to award it to the kid that does not get recognized a lot, like try
Yeah.
to find one really good sentence.
Right.
Um, regardless of whatever it was, really good piece of dialogue or an interesting storyline or whatever, and
Hmm.
try to lift those kids up too. But it's
Yeah.
easy to do that when you're looking for one sentence.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it. It's easy. And I also did it where if I had the time, if things were, or we had an extra long period for whatever reason, like everyone share their own diamond sentence, like go around the room and everyone read their favorite sentence that they wrote.
Right.
So that way you're not putting pressure on them to read their whole thing and
Mhm.
you hear from everybody.
True.
So,
Right.
and it's real quick. You just go around the room and read one
Do you
sentence.
find that some of them want to read their stuff, their whole thing? Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
thing.
and I would also have students, and if we had time, I would do that. And I
Hmm.
also had students who, so I had them for 2 periods. So I had them for English, then there was a 10-minute break, and then they'd come back for history.
Hmm.
I'd have kids not go out for their 10-minute break because they wanted me to read their writing,
Oh,
which was
gosh,
nice.
that's amazing, right? I know.
Yeah, or they'd sit around and go, "Oh, read mine, read mine." So
Hmm. Hmm.
I love that part of it just because, oh my gosh, these kids are not wanting to go out for their break because they want to practice writing or they want to write,
Yeah.
right?
Oh
So
my
that's like,
gosh, some goosebumps.
yeah, and it was just this quick shift in
Hmm.
me just like kind of committing to something and saying, you know what, this makes sense to me. And um, if we don't do it, like if I can't fit it in for the week or there's something going on, I could at least reinforce the skills in whatever else we were doing.
Hmm. Right, right. What we're reading and what we're
What we're reading,
noticing.
either talk about where we see it or say, if they were writing a quick response, I'll, like, work on a really good hook for your paragraph or whatever it was, or try to use two different kinds of sentences, or make sure you put a simile in there, so we
Right,
were
right,
always able to practice the skills.
right. Having a common language that they all know that we can
Mhm.
discuss. They know these six things and we can bring them up. Your
Mhm.
kids, the stuff that you share with me, they were phenomenal at hooks. You had some
Oh, that was a
awesome.
favorite. They loved hooks.
Yes.
And I think that's because maybe it's the easiest skill, or the
Hmm.
one that they can immediately, it's very tangible. Like they know that they can, it's the first sentence or whatever.
Right, right.
And um, and here are, different kinds you can use.
Mhm. And they were intriguing. They were so good.
Yeah, some of them
Awesome.
are. I had some strong writers in the last couple of years, but yeah, it
Yeah.
was just fun to see them like the whole idea of metacognition, knowing, like learning how you learn or whatever, and just seeing them recognize the skills that they were using
Right.
because we had like this common language. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. I love that. What did you do for assessment with them is like just real quick for teachers who want to know how you grade. Did you grade any workshop writing or are you only grading essays?
I mean, I did. I tried to do, where you pick one of your pieces, and I used like that template where they had to pick the skill or whatever. And I just would look at that one skill.
Mm-hmm.
I would look at the whole thing because they are writing kind of on demand,
Yeah.
and you know, and just would give them like points or
4 out
whatever.
of 5. Okay.
I
Yeah.
looked, yeah, so that's kind of what I did. Um, I did have to write, in my district, I do have to write like so many formal essays, like I have to do this quarter, this quarter, this quarter. So I would grade those, but then I would also have them work on like the skills, like what's your hook going to look like? Where can you put in dialogue? Where can you put in
Mm-hmm.
figurative language? So when I graded writing, I tried to look for those specific skills,
Mm-hmm.
like the most,
Yeah. Yeah.
in terms of that kind of thing.
Give you a focus. Right. That's nice. That's the one thing is some teachers have a mandated curriculum or things they have to follow and all of that. But it sounds like you did have some mandated stuff, but you were able to, you had a little.
Yeah, so in my district, I have to use the adopted curriculum at least 40%. And then um as long as I'm working towards the standards, I can supplement with whatever, which is nice. I have a bit of freedom. But
Hmm.
as a grade level team, we had to write a narrative on the first quarter. We had to write, an argument the second quarter, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I also tried to stay on the same page as my teammates.
Yeah.
Um, but I stopped doing what I had done before because of what you advised. I stopped making it like a 4 week process.
Mm-hmm.
How you say just do it in 10 days, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was another kind of light bulb moment. And if kids didn't finish, they had to finish during workshop time or get it done before if they wanted to participate. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was helpful
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like, we're working on the skills all the time. So it's not like you teach the narrative and it goes away. You teach the
Right.
argument right and it goes away. So that's something I do a lot of, and that's part of like the Eduprotocols thing is that you're constantly doing things in short bursts. So we'd constantly write like small argument paragraphs or narratives or
Right.
informational, and because I had them for history as well, I was able to do that in there too. So um, I just felt like what's important? Yes, structure is important
Mm-hmm.
for sure. They have to know what a structured like piece of writing looks like,
Right.
right? But also, according to who? Like, let's look at real life writing. Where's that
Right.
5 paragraph essay? You don't see it.
It doesn't
So
exist. I know. We could talk about this all day.
I know. I'm like,
Right?
there's nothing in my Common Core state standards that says 5 paragraph essay.
No.
It says multiple
Multi.
paragraphs.
Right.
And
Right.
then on the state tests, it says write a multiple paragraph essay.
Right. What makes
So
it
kids would be like,
two?
what's multiple mean? I go, well, multiple means more than one,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you think intro, conclusion, body paragraph, maybe three, or whatever,
Yeah.
but it does, so that kind of thing. So I would focus more on, you know, piecing it together, doing it in like, try to do it in 2 weeks. And depending on what was going on, sometimes it took a little bit longer, but realizing just like when you teach a novel, I don't feel like those should be 6 weeks long either.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that helped me to structure my time better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, that bringing that up about the state testing part is like, that's I want them to be able to feel confident to make decisions, to be
Yeah.
like, oh, it says multiple. Maybe I'll write 3 paragraphs. Maybe I'll write 6 paragraphs because I'm making
Yeah.
a decision here. I'm not waiting for somebody to tell me it must be this. Like just to start gaining that like autonomy over their own life. Like they can make these decisions and decide
Yeah.
if
And
it's going to be
it kind of got rid of the how long does this have to be?
yeah.
And
So
I would say as long as it's good. Kind of
right.
that was my answer to all of that. How long does it have to be? As long as you want it, as long as it
Mhm.
needs, that kind of thing. And that was a little bit hard. That was a difficult hurdle. And
Mhm.
I don't know why that is because I know elementary school because I taught sixth grade this year, but I've also taught seventh and eighth. Um, when they come from the various elementary schools into the middle schools, some of them are very set on like how many sentences does it have to be?
Yeah.
And then other kids are more free flowing. So I guess it kind of depends on where they came from or whatever, but it's a little bit difficult of a hurdle. And you have kids who are, points chasers, I call them. They want to get the most
Mhm.
points or whatever, which I
Mhm.
hate. Um, I just felt like, it doesn't have to be, there's not just one way to do it.
Right.
There's multiple ways to do it. And what matters is that you're communicating your message,
Mhm.
supporting it with evidence or whatever,
Mhm.
and that it's interesting to read, and how are you going to do that? You're going to use sentence variety. You're going to have a good hook.
Mhm.
You're going to show not tell. You're going to use figurative language, like that kind of thing. So the focus on the skills, I think, was huge
Mhm.
in terms of just my focus.
Mhm.
And
Right.
when and it's constant talking about it all year long,
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
uh, yeah,
Yeah, I think if we could frame to them, like we were saying, like the points chasing thing is frustrating. So it's like, well, how do I get an A? Or they're just trying to do it to get a certain grade. Like,
yeah,
what will get me to an A? So I try to frame the words constantly of like, let's talk about your reader's experience. What is your
Oh,
reader's
that's good. Oh, I
experience
like
when they're
that.
reading? Yeah, this is
And
not
then
a
you have, oh, sorry.
yeah, it's
So
more
excited.
like puzzle it out for them. Are they going to be intrigued by this? Is your reader going to go, are they going to be, wow, are they going to be on the edge of their seats?
And then you have the opposite end of the spectrum where you have the points chasers who want to make sure they get an A. And then you have the other end of it where, they don't care at all about their grade
Right,
or they're not motivated by it, I should say.
right,
And so I think by telling them, write two paragraphs if that's all you can do or that's all you want to do. I feel like it alleviates some of that pressure
hmm,
as well.
yeah,
So, because you're gonna have that's my feeling about grading writing is kind of tricky just because if you have a kid who never writes anything,
hmm,
won't write anything, you can barely get them to write a sentence, and then you assign like an essay or whatever, and they write one paragraph, how are you going to fail that kid?
right,
Because they wrote at least something for you. You know what I
right,
mean? Like, yeah, maybe
right.
it's not where you wanted it to be, but if they went from nothing to at least writing something, that's
Yeah,
huge.
that's huge. Right.
So I have a really difficult time with
I know.
grading that. You know what
Right.
I mean?
We need
Just
more of a
because
growth score. Right. That's,
kind of, yeah. And I still haven't figured out the best way to do it.
you know,
But I'm not going to give an F to a kid that has done nothing and has finally done something because then what is there to work for? Like,
right.
what's the point?
Why did I
You're
try?
just going to go back to doing nothing,
Hmm.
right?
I know.
So, I would try to celebrate those little small wins with them and,
Hmm, hmm.
try to make them feel like, oh, this is worth it, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Did you ever use any AI stuff like for them to put their work into Class Companion or anything or have them get feedback?
Yeah, I did. I used Class Companion a lot. Um, and then I've talked about it before. I've used We Will Write, but that feedback is more like class generated as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to AI. Um, but Class Companion, yeah, I would use. I use that for after they would write their essays, they'd put it in Class Companion
Yeah.
and have multiple attempts, and that I loved that. Like, so, a lot of teachers are afraid of AI, but I say it's never going away.
Hmm.
Like, a teacher friend of mine said, you need to invite it to the table. Like, how is it going to function? And also establish guidelines, like when it's okay to use it and when it's not,
Yep.
and come up with some kind of like system. Like, another teacher friend of mine has kind of created like an anchor chart for each assignment, like is what's it okay to use AI for this, you can use
Yeah.
it for your schooling, but you can't use it for this, so give them parameters. But yeah, Class Companion is great just because and Snorkel too is another one I've used. So have you
Hmm.
heard of Snorkel? Snorkl.
No. What does it
That's
do?
another good one. Snorkel's cool because you can put in graphic organizers
Uh-huh.
and they can use graphic organizers
Hmm.
and get feedback on those. And AI will generate a rubric based on what your graphic organizer looks like, and then you can adjust it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've experimented with a lot of the AI platforms just because I'm trying to stay relevant in my older years, right?
You are
I'm trying to stay very relevant. I'm just trying
right.
to stay on top of it.
On top of things. Right. But I
Because
love
last thing I
that.
want,
I love that
yeah,
you're they're writing, they're learning the process, they're doing all the writing, and then they're using it as a feedback partner.
feedback tool. And what I
Mhm.
love about that, the instant feedback, is again, I can't do that for every single person in a class period. But
Right.
what I can do is, as they're getting the feedback, I can walk around, help them interpret what it means. Because
Yeah.
sometimes they wouldn't understand the feedback because it would be too high level or whatever. Um, and what I felt it did was it kind of was like it poked them, like, you can do it better, you can do it better, you can do it better. And they
Mhm.
wanted to see like their score go up.
Right.
And so that really solidified for me. Like I knew immediate feedback was important,
Mhm.
but when you are a teacher, like teaching 5 ELA classes and you have to read 5 sets of writing or whatever, that immediate feedback is too difficult to do. Like
No
you can't do that.
immediacy. Right. Right.
So it's not immediate.
Mm.
And when they got it on the spot, um,
Mm.
they were turning in better pieces of writing.
Mm. That's
So,
great.
and it became like it was gamified for them because they wanted to they wanted to beat the rubric and this,
Right.
you know what
Oh,
I
that's
mean?
cool.
And some kids hated it, but they hated it because they couldn't just turn it in and be done.
Like,
And then one kid
we know
said to
what's going
me,
on.
"Oh, you're just using this because you don't want to have to read it." And I said, "No, I'm the decider of the grade, you know,
Right.
I'm the decider, but you want feedback before it comes to me,
Mm-hmm.
right?"
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And
But the
that would
whole
happen in the real
AI and
world.
cheating thing, yeah, the
You,
whole AI and the whole cheating thing, I mean, it's very real and I catch it all the time.
right.
Um,
Right.
so I think having a backup in a notebook would be important, like write it first and then put it in. I still haven't figured out that piece of it. Like that's probably an ELA teacher's biggest hurdle right now
Yeah.
is like
We're
how
all
we're
in
going
it.
to manage,
Yep.
how we're going to manage it. But using it as a feedback tool as opposed to generating the
Right.
information for you, I think is good.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's great. Um, the last two things I want to talk about are your blog and then Eduprotocols. But
Okay.
your blog, how long have you been blogging? Is
Just
that,
this just this last school year,
oh,
I just decided I was gonna because I started making the TikTok videos
hmm,
and I would constantly get like messages asking for how I did something
yeah.
or can you give me an example or in like teacher Facebook group or whatever. I'm only really active in one teacher Facebook group and that is the only reason why I have Facebook is because of that group and that's the Eduprotocols group.
Hmm.
Um, uh, just messages like asking how I would do stuff, or can you send me that template, or
Yeah.
because um, which I'm fine to give out. Uh, and I thought, well, maybe if I write it down, like I just kind of write about my week, and
Yeah.
then it became kind of reflective for me. So I just started trying to do it at least once a week, once every other week, depending. And I would just basically write about what I did.
Yeah. It's all like that week. It's like almost like a diary, kind of like, here's what happened
Kind
this
of
week.
like a
Here's what happened this
diary.
week.
Yeah. And I thought,
Yeah.
well, maybe next year, maybe I'll give it to like, not that they'll look at it, but I'll give it to parents, like give the link to
Mhm.
parents saying, if you really want to know what we're doing, this is what we're doing. You can read about
Oh,
it,
that's cool.
you know?
So impressive. And
Oh,
any
thanks.
teachers out there, it's called Teaching in Between blog, which I didn't realize until I was looking at it on my big screen. I was like, I wonder what teaching in between means. And then I realized the tween was capitalized. I'm like, because it's tweens. I get
Yeah,
it.
they're tweens. It's middle school, right?
Yes.
So, and
Yes,
I thought in between like elementary school and high school where they're this like in
exactly.
between age kind of a thing.
Yeah. It's brilliant. That's
Yeah, so
brilliant. So I'll link to that as well so that you all can go and check out what she's doing every week. And then there's a whole like a rundown and then a reflection. You were like, what am I going to keep? What am I going to change for the next year? Um,
yeah.
that's cool.
I
That's
spend a lot of time in the summer thinking about school, which I know is probably terrible. I, just because I'm still excited to go to work.
yeah.
And I think like your writing workshop, um, making my planning more streamlined because I use the same lesson frames over and over has made me feel more empowered. I
Mhm.
feel like I have much better work-life balance just because I know on Fridays we're going to do structure workshop and if I have to adjust anything or modify the script or whatever that's not really a big deal.
Mhm.
Um, or sometimes I would if there was something I needed to do like assignment wise, I would put that into the workshop.
Mhm.
So they still felt like they were doing a workshop.
Right. But we're going to tweak
But
it
yeah,
a little bit this week.
yeah, but this
Right.
week we're all gonna do this,
Yeah.
that kind of, so they still felt like it was the
Yeah.
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so you do a lot with Eduprotocols, which is like you said, it's a repeated framework of like how to respond to literature and articles and stuff. Is that how you would describe it?
I would
Probably a
say
sim.
they're lesson frames where you just replace
Mhm.
the content. So the
Right.
kids master the thing they have to do. So
Yeah.
that reduces like the cognitive load. Like you see a Venn diagram, you know what to do with it.
Right. Right.
So um it's just that idea. It's like, and it's very simple when you think, oh God, that makes sense. It does, but a lot of us don't think that way. We're on TPT looking for the next best thing. We're on Pinterest looking for the
Right.
next best thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to burn you out really big. And if the kids are presented with something new every
Every
day,
time. Right.
that you're going to spend more time teaching them how to do the thing as opposed to
Mhm.
what they're learning about. So the idea is like, and this is in their, they have a series of books. And in their very first book, it's more like about the theory. And the idea is like, a chef doesn't have 365 meals that for one every day of the week. They have maybe 4 or 5 signature dishes,
Yeah.
and then they tweak them according to like what they need to do, right? But they have maybe like the signature dish,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what, and so you know what you're getting, right? Or like, you're on a team sport like soccer or football, you run the same drills over and over. The coach is literally telling you what to fix, so the next time you do the drill, it's better,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're not having you do the drill and then making you wait a week
Right.
before they tell you what you did wrong. It's that idea. So it's kind of like bringing that idea or that theory into your classroom
Mm-hmm.
where you're working on this, you're using the same lesson frames over and over, and many of them are collaborative. And you're just replacing the content.
Right.
And so
Right.
that was also like, I wish I had that when I started. I feel
Right.
like yeah, much more free time.
I love
Yeah,
it. It's
I
that
would,
cognitive load idea. It's off of you and it's off of the, and this is why and this is why people want to hear what you have to say. Because you're like the combining of
yeah.
Eduprotocols with a structured workshop. It's kind of doing the same thing where it's telling the kids like these are the things that you're going to practice over and over and get so good at. And they will be able to automatically do these things and you will feel better because when you bring it up, they're like, oh, okay. It's not that
Yeah,
whole
and
like,
that, can I tell you a story real quick?
yeah, please.
Okay, it's like my favorite story of, it was happened 2 years ago. And it actually kind of happened again this year. It's just, so there's one protocol called the Iron Chef, and it's just like a modified jigsaw.
Mhm.
And you break up a big piece of reading, like if you have a like a big piece of informational text and there's like multiple sections or whatever, you break up those sections. The kids become the expert on that section. They're in groups, they create a slide, and then each group gets up and they do like a very short presentation. So the kids are hearing the same information over and over.
Mhm.
That's called the Iron Chef because it's like the idea where everyone gets the same ingredients, but they make their own dish. It's like those Iron Chef
Cool.
competitions.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can have like judges on the best one. You can just kind of gamify it. Anyways, I consistently did that like at least once a week in my history class because, we have to look at the text and it's really dry and,
Mhm.
so how are we going to get through it? So I made the kids responsible for doing that, using that protocol. And typically, you put them in groups of 4 or whatever, 5, 3, and I would create a template for them, depending on what we were studying. So it looked pretty or whatever. And we did it every week. And then at the end of the year, it was like towards the end of the year, it was May. I know specifically it was May because I also put on the school musical. And it was musical time. And I was just like, it's a big job to put on the school musical.
Mhm.
So I walked into school one day realizing, oh my God, I didn't plan any, I didn't specifically plan, like I didn't make anything for the day or whatever.
Right,
So my feeling was we're just gonna go back to we're gonna read the text and we're gonna talk about it. Like that's all I can do today. I just could not, you know,
right.
I had too many things going on. So I told the kids, okay, open up your book to page 225, that kind of thing. And one of the kids was looking at it and he looked at me and he raised his hand. He's like, can we just Iron Chef this? Said, I said, well, I didn't make a template. I said, well, honestly, we could, but I didn't make a template for you. I've been very busy. And I'm
Mhm.
very honest with them. I've been
Yeah.
very busy.
Yeah.
And he's like, we can do it ourselves. It's just 4 slides and this and that and a picture, and we can just do it ourselves. And everyone's like, yeah, we can just do it ourselves. So one kid made a slide deck of 4 slides, shared it with the rest of and they did it by
Wow.
themselves without me doing anything.
Wow.
It completely changed the lesson for the day into something that was collaborative, and the kids were using speaking skills. Um, and I left that day feeling like, oh my gosh, I have won. Like I have won. And that it just was proof to me that the repetition,
Mm-hmm.
right, of the thing they had to do,
Mm-hmm.
um, made them an expert on how to do it so they
Right.
could just focus on what the reading was about.
Right.
And
Right.
that takes a little bit of time in the beginning of the school year to like establish,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I try to smart start those. So like I use the Iron Chef to talk about our class agreements,
Mm-hmm.
so all those things you do in the beginning of the year, like get to know you kind of things, I do them through an Eduprotocol. So
Yeah.
by the time we have to use it with content, they already kind of know what to do.
Right. Right. Wow. That's fantastic for them to be able to just to understand themselves on how to learn, like to be able to take that, you know, uh, and advance themselves. They're like, oh, we could do that. We can learn this piece of information in this way. It's huge. Honestly, that's really
Well,
it's
that's what I thought. I couldn't believe it. I was just so, and then the next class period, because I had another block after that, I I said, this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna make your own slides though, because I didn't do it. And it was just eye-opening to me, like, oh, they do have it. Like they really do know
yeah,
what to do.
yeah, yeah.
So
How
that's my
rewarding.
favorite story.
I love it. I love it. Now you are presenting. When are
Mhm.
you doing that? This week?
It's next week.
Next
It's
week.
next week, next Thursday and Friday. It's so the Eduprotocols people, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
company, I don't know what it is exactly, group, um, as the authors of the books,
Mm-hmm.
they host a uh, conference once a year in Laguna Beach, and they've also had them in other places. And it's just basically a 2-day conference to learn about it,
Mm-hmm.
to learn about the lesson frames and how to use them with your curriculum. So I do sessions there. So which is really nice, which is really fun. It's my favorite
Yeah.
PD I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Um, and then they have road shows, like where they'll send like 2 or 3 speakers to like one location. So I got to do that this summer. I got to go to Boston, which was really fun. So they're having me do stuff like that now, which is nice, because I put the message out on TikTok and I started
Yeah.
talking about it. So they kind of reeled me in and said, hey, do you want to help us or whatever? So that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't do it unless I really believed that it worked.
Yep.
So, and some things, I've been fortunate enough to get paid for it, and some things I just do I volunteer
Yeah.
because I just like it so much.
Right.
And so I get to present at the Laguna Academy. So I'm presenting a couple of just these are like specific edge protocols. And then I've done a session the last 3 years on how to use them with your curriculum,
Nice.
because that seems to be a hurdle that a lot of teachers can't like break through is, well, how do I add that to my what I already have to do? And it's not adding, it's replacing.
Yep.
So, um, and show them how they can fit it into like their boxed curriculum. Because I use it with my English curriculum, I use it with my history curriculum. Um, I even use them in my theater classes. So,
That's cool.
and because of that, when they tell me, so my credential allows me to teach English as a single subject, and I have a multiple subject credential. So um, I I'm the person they ask to shift grades a lot, that kind of thing. And
Right.
because I have like a couple of theater classes, I'm always like the person who can be flexible, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we need you to teach eighth this year. We need you to teach sixth. We need you to teach seventh. Um, and I don't sweat that just
Yeah.
because I use the same lesson frames. I'm just replacing what goes in them.
Content.
So
Brilliant. Oh,
I don't. I don't freak out about grade level changes.
Wow. Wow. I think really teachers need to hear this, and that is phenomenal. And I'll put a link and everything below. If anyone's in California or near California, or you want to drive to California next week, come to that.
Or
And
you just
then,
email. I'm like you people email me. I'm
yeah.
fine with that. Get in touch with Josie at gmail.com. I just, yeah, I'm happy to help people. I feel like if there was a job called like superintendent of school spirit, I would
You totally are. You
well, I
totally
just feel like you have to find things that keep you motivated
right. Right.
because this is a very difficult career to have,
It
as
is.
you
It is.
know.
We
So
need each
it's
other. We need each other. And on that topic, those teachers who are coming in new to this writers workshop, we're having a lot of new teachers coming in. Do you have any like last bits of advice for them as they try and tackle this big idea?
yeah, just start it.
Mm,
Like you don't have to start it at the beginning of the year. You can just, hey, this is what we're going to do. I feel like, a lot of teachers like, well, I'll start that next year. It's too late now. It's never too late.
mm,
And yeah, and you don't have to know how it all works before trying it. Because usually the kids know more than we do.
right?
I don't fear, I'm lucky in that I know I'm lucky in that I don't fear like not knowing how to do it before I put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's always going to be some kid who knows how to do it, right? And then they can help all the other kids. So with the workshop, I would say definitely watch the modules. That is 100% worth your time. And just start with one skill. I think next year I'm already thinking like I'm going to set aside maybe because I haven't done this before where I'm going to set like a week where I just introduce, well, there's six, so 6 days where I introduce each skill
Mm,
before we
interesting.
dive into it, do like a writing skills work, like boot camp kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
What you had,
and
you can get, I have one of those in there if you need it, but use the boot camp. Yeah.
for each of the skills.
Yeah, there's a boot camp for all.
Oh,
I'll get you
I
the
didn't
link
know.
when we're
Oh,
done.
thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So yeah, so I thought I'm going to introduce them all kind of at once, like one a day, and just say these are the things we're going to be working on,
Hmm.
and then dive into each one, you know,
Workshop.
as we
Oh,
go.
that's a cool idea. And this is what I love talking because there's so many different ways to tackle this and do what works for your kids, and that's what
Well,
you do.
yeah, because when you're focusing on the skills, I think, you can do it any, so many different ways.
Mhm.
So that is the key to your workshop is it's skills based and not like we're going to now write a narrative. We're now
Right.
going to write an argument. We're now going to write this. It's like these are the things you're going to practice all year long and you can do it in all of your classes.
For everything, right? To apply to everything. I love that. My favorite part of our discussion today was watching your wheels turn when you start to have a new idea.